Now, in the product improvement line again, you actually have accessories for the winch that historically weren't necessarily there. I would assume the snatch blocks.
Well, the snatch blocks are really just the pulleys, so they've been around for a long, long time, and pulleys multiply force.
Right.
So our Lewis winch is rated for 4,000 pounds in a straight pull without using a pulley. So one snatch block doubles that capacity. So we rate the Lewis winch for 8,000 pounds using one Lewis winch snatch block. Now we have a couple of different snatch blocks. We have a couple of different options.
How about cables?
The winch comes with 3/16 aircraft cable, which is galvanized for corrosion, et cetera, by 150 feet long. Now that's the maximum you can put on the spool, and not everybody necessarily needs to have 150-foot pulls, and so cutting a little bit of the cable off certainly makes cable management a lot easier. But we offer another one on the other end of the scale. If you need longer pulls, we offer a 250-foot cable. The full 250-foot fits on the spool, so anybody that needs to do a long pull, a 250-foot pull, would be interested in that cable. But of course it's smaller, so it only pulls 2,000 pounds or 4,000 pounds with one snatch block.
But for lighter duty, I imagine ranchers with fences, things like that, would utilize that type of tool?
Well, certainly. Anybody with woodlots and ranches where they're fenced in, it's great for pulling all the gear, of course, up to where you're going to need it, but also it'll put tension on the barbed wire fences and make it much easier for tensioning and stapling the fences into place.
Now, we're down in California. There's a lot of big game hunting down here, unless, of course, there's spotted moose, which are usually called cows, I think. And but up in the Northwest, if you shoot an elk or something like that?
It's a huge industry. We sell tons and tons and tons of winches into the hunting industry. Up north, where you shoot a moose, 150 feet off of the road down in a swamp, standing there in minus 10 degrees in knee-deep water while you quarter up a moose isn't something that even the most avid hunter really wants to do.
Right.
So hooking onto it, pulling that whole game animal up onto the road, and the other thing that you can't do with any other winch is you can pull that game animal right into the back of your pickup truck and take it home like that.
Interesting. Now, from a product improvement standpoint, do you have any new stuff out on the drawing board you're playing with?
Well, we're constantly improving. Our trailer hitch mount has only been out for about a year and a half. Slides into a 2-inch square receiver. Drop the winch on top. Slide it forward. No tools required. Quick and easy to mount the winch onto a vehicle. The other things that we're doing is, Fred Lewis, when he first designed the clutch assembly on the Lewis winch, it was a piece of burned plate, and you needed a glove and a heavy hand to operate it. Well, now we've got a new, very state-of-the-art aluminum, nice, thick, easy on the hand. You don't even need a glove anymore to operate it.
Interesting. I would imagine as the industry uses, market segments uses start to blossom, so to speak, there may be other equipment or accessories you might want to sell with this thing that historically maybe were never there. Do you have any items like that you can talk about?
I mean, we have the PV hook, which was something that Fred Lewis didn't have either, so that we came up with, and it simply just replaces the anchor point on the bottom of the winch. There's just a bolt that goes through. You take the bolt off, slide the PV hook on. You can just drop it in any stumps. Loggers, firewood people, woodlot owners, they cut down the trees. They've got stumps all over the place. So rather than have to drag cables and chains and stuff around to re-anchor your winch every time you want to move it, you just set it on top of the stump. As soon as you start your pull, it just embeds the PV hook into the stump, and you've got a great anchor point, and easy to just pull it back off, move on to your next pull, drop it on the next stump, and off you go. So a real time saver for people with woodlots or portable sawmills who are making their living using the Lewis winch.
Do you have extra ropes or anything that wrap around stuff?
Well, we have the tree saver belt. Now, the tree saver belt is very important because if you're anchoring the Lewis winch onto live trees, cables or chains will damage the bark, and it will actually kill the tree. So we have a nice wide belt. We call it the tree saver belt, but it has many, many other uses besides anchoring onto a tree and saving trees. You can use it as a tow strap. You can use it to anchor to the undercarriage of a vehicle. They're nice and light. This is the thing about the tree saver belt is they weigh next to nothing. You can carry several of them with you, and the thing about cables and chains is they're
heavy.
Well, dragging a big chain behind you isn't something that we want to do either. So
right now, when I first saw it, I thought, gee. Down in California here, we have off-roaders who do carry small chainsaws because they're going off-road. There's trees falling down, brush, stuff like that. It's an absolute natural. Has the connection between the chainsaw and the winch really changed historically at all? When Fred Lewis, is it the same marriage?
Well, it is. We've improved on that too, of course, because that's what we're constantly doing, is looking for ways of making things better. But the way it was historically put on was just a little piece of the same chain that's used on the cutter bar, except they call it cutterless chain. They just take off the cutters, and that was what drove it. But we've come up with a direct mount now. So when you select your saw and the Lewis winch, there's a series of adapters. There's 3 different adapters that come with it that fits almost all chainsaws on the market. So we supply the 2 adapter kits, the traditional one that Fred came up with, and the new direct mount, which you select adapters, screw them together, and that matches the same saw. You change saws, you just change the adapter, no big deal.
Now, how fast can you do that?
Well, I say it's the 5-minute switch. I can do it in less than 5 minutes. Anybody that's put their chainsaw on and off a couple of times will do it in much less than 5 minutes. So
Right.
so it's very quick. You don't have to. I've had that question thrown at me before. Do I have to have 2 chainsaws? I have to put it on, pack that around? No, that's not the case at all.
So you can get out and cut your way through and then winch yourself out.
In 5 minutes,
Yeah.
So when you're out in the field, you have your one chainsaw, you have your cutter bar with you. You can cut down your logs, your trees. 5 minutes later, you got the Lewis winch attached, and you're good to go.
Good to go. Well, thank you so much for talking to me about the Lewis winch today.
Thanks for having me on the show, Pete.
All right.